Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Thursday night. It is that time again. It's our GT1 championship here on Flux Motorsport TV. If it's your first time joining us, then you're in for a thriller this evening. It is the final round of our GT1 championship this evening, and we are at the infamous Imola circuit here in sunny Bologna. It is today. Just outside Bologna, I think it is this circuit. I'm here with the usual McToasty again, who I believe you had this on your own, didn't you, last week, McToasty?
I did, yeah. It was my first time on my own in the commentary box, but it went alright. Yeah, excited here for today, deciding the championship. Like I think every one of our championship series have been going to be or have been decided on the last race, I think.
I think you're right, and I think this is no exception here. It's going to be just as exciting. I'm going to leave where we are with the standings just for the moment, just while we come into this race. I just want to give you a little bit of a background as to what we're looking at coming into this race. So last time out we had quite a few stewards inquiries, so we don't always expect to see stewards inquiries in the GT1s, albeit there has been some contact this season, but last week was a standout. I think there was at least 4 inquiries in the GT1s, 5 inquiries I believe also, 1 was overturned, so that's made some difference to the standings. Essentially the little god who we're just out on track with here, he's just setting some qualifying laps involved. He had partially had his decisions overturned for a collision with Snell and Bongo. Green Gaming was at the receiving end of some penalties. We had Jack Dementes that essentially was involved in a bit of a kerfuffle but didn't receive any penalties, so Jack getting away with that one. And Blankfile himself as well getting involved in some of the action. Blankfile obviously being one of our other drivers in the panel. So yeah, it looks like we're coming into this round not just with it in the usual Flux Motorsport format, where it's down to the wire, but down to the wire and with the claws out by the looks of it. So I'm really looking forward to this one, Toasty.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about the track here? What have we got to look forward to so far in terms of Imola? Have we got our homework done for this evening? Is there anything interesting you can tell us? I know we've had the cheese for over in Wisconsin at Road America. Is there anything interesting you can tell us here for Imola today?
Well, actually, the circuit was built in an area where a Roman amphitheater once was, where they did gladiatorial chariot racing back in. Do
you know, how befitting is that? In 80 BC.
Yes.
Do you know, I'm that old, exhausted. I'm knocking on a bit. So. But yeah, Roman amphitheater. I mean, I can believe it. It's steeped in tradition. That part of the world over in Italy. So it certainly doesn't look like a Roman road, this one, though, does it? So
no, although
lots of twists and tight turns.
When the track was first opened in 1953, it did use public roads that were connected together until 1972 to 74, when the track was closed off from public roads and they renovated it into a full circuit. So.
Right, okay. Well, we'll see whether it's thumbs up or thumbs down for the gladiators here for Blankfile this evening. As you see Blankfile coming just through the last corner there, getting just a bit onto the rubbers there. Really looking like he's pushing here, so let's try and take a look at his lap time. As he comes through our section, he does put an improved lap time in. That's 1:35.2. That'll put him in second place. So good going there for Blankfile. As he thinks better of it now, coming back into the pits. I think the other guy we've got to watch out for here this evening, just before coming to the standings and what we're up to this evening, is Steve. I think he's the other one that we've got to watch in qualifying. I think all the guys that are running in the top 3 or 4 are able to put potential 135 to 134s in, given the right conditions and a decent lap. So, but yeah, what are your predictions coming into this race off the bat?
I really want to see Blankfile do well here again. Of course, Little God too, both in the Panos, and yeah, I'm rooting for Steve here. I want to see him get those championship points and maybe maybe get the win of the championship here. That would be exciting.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's maybe one or two, not just yourself. I mean, maybe we'll go to the YouTube chat a little bit later to find out. But I think there's going to be one or two that will be in the same boat as yourself that are rooting for Steve. You see him going just a little bit on the grass there. That was just asking for trouble there, coming from that far wide. But yeah, he's going to have some support, I think, coming into this race. But I don't think you're going to be able to sway the support that Lingo Bazinga normally gets. One from within the community, or two from from the actual drivers in the GT1 Championship themselves. A lot of respect there going out for the sheer blistering pace that he's got around absolutely every single track. He's not had flawless performances this season, Lingo Bazinga, but he's certainly obviously been up thereabouts in near enough every single race. So he's certainly the guy to beat in this championship. But I think from an underdog perspective, I know Brits love an underdog. Then yeah, I think Lingo Bazinga's got to watch his back a little bit. Blankfire looks like he's really putting in some moves though in the other panels, in the white panels, with that 135.2. And for me, that it's that corner there, that back end, that's the last chicane section, and you saw the chassis just jacking there on Steve's car. That is the most difficult corner on this track by far. From trying to do some testing earlier, and I am partial to a bit of the old panels, very difficult to try and keep the car down during that section. I see him getting a little bit squiggly there, just coming into the last turn, and he's going to be absolutely opening up the throttle here, trying to squeeze every last little bit of juice out of it. He comes over the line. No improvement though, I think, from that time round, so it's going to be a flying lap again for Steve. So anyway, over to our standing. Let's put people out of the misery, shall we, Toasty? What are the scores, George Dawes, as they say? Well, as we will expect, I think coming into this race, the guy at the top of the table was going to be Lingo Bazinga, but it's not anywhere near as close as you might think. So this time around, it's only 11 points after the last race, I believe. So for 1 second, let me just take a look at the most recent table.
21 points, I think.
Sorry, it is. My apologies. It's 21 points. So the 21-point gap all told, which is reduced previously from the last race from a 25-point gap. So Steve closing that gap up there, but I think it's still going to be a push here for Steve to get a 25-point difference. I think that is a difference all told of 10 places on the grid. Something around that region that he would have to finish between himself and Lingo Bazinga to be fighting for top spot, and then I think it would come down to number of races won, and I think even then Lingo Bazinga might still have him on an actual stats basis in the background. So, but I'll come back to you on that one in terms of what the actual driver stats for this are. But just back over to the standings, obviously we've got Little God that is closely followed up in second place. In third spot we've got Immortalis, so Immortalis currently dropping down to fifth, and we're out with him here on track in that Zepanol livery there. It's become very distinctive. Getting quite familiar with that car, I think, this season. Again, not been completely devoid of an accident himself, but some clever driving, some clever strategy, a bit of lifted coasting that we saw from Immortalis in a couple of these races, trying to get that car to work a little bit better for him. So he's currently in fifth place on our grid today, third place in the standings, and a good 43 points behind the leader there as we come into that. So I don't think it's really possible here for Immortalis, despite a huge penalty in the background for Lingo Bazinga if that was to occur. That could potentially see him reshuffle and jump up to a second spot potentially, but even then I think that's going to be a big ask. But just behind him we've got Blankfile, so Blankfile currently is second on the grid at the moment, putting in some really good laps here. He's currently 147 points and fourth in our leader table, and that's a 75-point gap to Lingo Bazinga in first spot. Just behind him you've got Merlin in fifth spot. Let's see if we can find Merlin on grid. Totenkopf, as you might well know him, in fifth spot currently, and here he is in the green and gold livery, that Sorbrent livery, apologies. Don't forget we do have two cars in that livery. Merlin's the guy with the red wing mirrors as opposed to the luminous green ones. Merlin coming in 5th spot with 118 points, 104 points behind Linga Bazinga. So to show you the gulf in between Linga Bazinga and the rest of the drivers after he starts to keep punching those wins out. 104 points between 1st and 5th place there. Just behind him, we've got Jalma with 111 points, and that is exactly 111 points behind Linga Bazinga. So all the ones today for Jalma. Jalma will be out on track in his usual Mercedes. The white and yellow livery Mercedes, I think. Dirk Diggler comes just behind that in 7th place with 108, and Snell and Bongo just trailing quickly behind him with 104. Murphy and Jack still battling it out. These two can't keep away from each other in the championships. Don't seem to be going toe to toe too much in the races, but certainly in the standings, always there or thereabouts. 102 and 101 respectively for Murphy and Jack. Destroyer, the other guy with the green and gold Sobrent liveries vehicle, is in 11th place with 76 points. Booth Jumbo, late entrant, comes in 12th place with 35. Best Gamer out there in 13th with 29 points, and Green Gaming all the way in 14th with 8 points. We do have a brand new driver that's coming in for the last race of the season as a permanent driver, so he will accrue his points, and that's Harry. Harry joins out on track today. Harry, I believe, has also opted for the Mercedes. There he is in the pits, just making sure that he looks good in the mirrors. The last 5 minutes left. He doesn't want to get his first race out in the GT1s and have her out of place. So going over to Snell and Bongo and Linga Bazinga, that looks like in front of him. Snell and Bongo up to 6th now, just in front of Harry actually. So Harry not putting a bad lap time round here, as we see the Toyota of, is that Jack there, or is that Green Gaming? I'm not sure. It's certainly not Jack. It is Green Gaming, so Green Gaming just getting out of the way there and letting Snell and Bongo and Linga Bazinga through. Apologies, that is not Snell and Bongo. Linga Bazinga in front, I don't believe. Linga Bazinga is. Apologies, it is. So Linga have put in 134.6s, no improvements yet. 134.6 has stood there for almost a couple of minutes now. I don't see him making any improvements so far to that time. Blistering lap time is put in there. Black Fowl not making an improvement yet since he put that 135.209 in. Little God is the biggest move in the last few minutes, I think, with the 135.2. Immortalis just coming a little back from further down the order there, and securing himself a 4th spot on the grid so far. 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in our qualifying session to go. So if you are just joining us, thanks very much for joining us here at Flux Motorsport TV. Like I said, you're catching us for the very last race of the season here at Imola, and this is round 8 in our season in our GT1 championship. As we see Linga Bazinga come across the line, and yet we've still got to go in our championship. We still have touring cars have already finished, and that's our Pro Fubby go through as the current championship, current champion in the touring cars. It looks like we potentially might have Linga Bazinga here. It's like I said, it's not a done deal, but after that we've got our GTE race on Friday. That'll be the finale there. All of our championships obviously come to a close this week, LMP2, so we'll try and keep you posted with the winners of those and which other drivers get inaugurated into the Flux Motorsport Hall of Fame. But yeah, if you are looking to get involved with us, or you do want to join up and get involved next season, we're looking to be driving very similar vehicles, not possibly all the same, but very similar vehicles again next season. So if this does look like it's the championship for you, want to get involved in this action, then please do come along to FluxMotorsport.com. That's FLUXMotorsport.com, and hit the driver sign up button, big orange button, and that'll get you through to our community Discord area, where you can get involved in your evaluation drive, join in the action, and potentially get yourself out in our championship races.
I was having
fire away, Tosley.
Yeah, I was having another look at the championship standings, and actually informed by Jack Davies in the chat that it is 11 points between.
I did believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it changed after some steward decisions, so it is much closer than we thought before.
Yeah, you're right. No, apologies. Yeah, you're completely correct there. So, as we just mentioned before, that was due to the fact that Little God was involved in an incident with Snell and Bongo. Now, just to just to go back over that incident, essentially there was a bit of contact as they came into essentially a left-handed section, followed by a little bit of contact into the hairpin, and then back up coming out the hairpin at Ruin. There was even further contact, and that was the contact that was submitted. So I definitely think the claws are out in this championship towards the last couple of races. I think it really is going to be down to the wire, and we've seen a little bit more upset there as we see Immortalis in the last minute or so jumping up to second place. So and Immortalis himself and Jack not completely having a completely non-contactable race. There was a bit of argy-bargy between those two. Jack going round on the outside and Immortalis just taking him the front end and scooping him up basically. Wasn't really a lot he could do to avoid it, but certainly got him some front end damage there. So there's been battles all around. I think in the previous race, and I don't think it's going to be any different today. There's going to be no holes barred. I think it's going to be certainly a close quarters affair. No real straights here either, McToasty. So
yeah, compared to
be fair, the back straight's pretty quick, but
right compared to last week race on public roads, basically. This is much more of a much more accommodating circuit. It's much wider. It can really attack the track. The curbs are much less aggressive. So we'll definitely see the GT1 going as best pace they can get here.
Well, as we come through into the final countdowns of our qualifying session, we've seen Linga Bazinga come into the pits and Immortalis, so I think that is those two guys just starting to put the final touches on the setups for the race and just get the tyre pressure sorted, have a word with the pit crews, make sure Terry behaves. But yeah, as they come through, we've seen Immortalis make quite a considerable jump there, just half a second behind Linga Bazinga, so really knocking that down as Little God comes across the line. And Steve has just smashed that 135 barrier with the 134.979, putting in 0.3, just over 0.3 of a second behind Linga Bazinga. But that looks like, I mean, clearly the eye is taken over there, and the car's just on a slow down. But I think he's absolutely sweating buckets in that. I think that was everything he got. It's a big ask, but 11 points is not. It's not the biggest gap I've ever seen close up, and I've seen bigger gaps than that close up in single races before now, so it's actually doable if he gets this right.
Yeah, could happen.
So just a run down the order then as we come through our qualifying. Linga Bazinga over in first spot, as we said. Steve though in second spot, just as he steals it off me. Immortalis coming in third spot, Blankfile in fourth. Merlin coming up in fifth, so Merlin getting a reasonable qualifying session yet again. Let's see whether that transposes into the race though. Snarling Bongo in sixth, Harry coming up in seventh, so a good start there from Harry for his first race out in the GT1s. Jelma coming in eighth spot, Jack Demenz is dropping all the way back down to ninth. Not a great qualifying position there for Jack. Toyota looks like it struggles around here. Destroyer then in 10th, Murphy in 11th spot, 12th for Booth Jumbo, Dirt Diggler in 13th, Survivor in 14th, and following up with Green Gaming in 15th spot. Right, just a couple of minutes now, so as the drivers get ready, and look at the sun beaming down on a glorious Imola circuit there. And we don't need to mention the amount of history, I think, and tradition, Stuti, or any of the accidents that have happened here. I think they've been said over and over. So I think it's just more important to say a bit of a dip of the cap to two of the motoring greats that we've lost very recently, to Murray Walker and Sabine Schmidt. So we can dedicate this race in their memory. That would be wonderful. But yeah, there's the guys just get ready here. I think that's the last thing that's going to be going through their mind. All they're going to be going through it right now is, how do I get the guy who's on my left or right hand side down to that first corner? And you did mention about the curbs here, McToasty, but I still think we might get one or two spins here. The way that the guys are going to be aggressively attacking the curbs and trying to minimise corner angle and just keep that speed up, I think that's going to catch one or two out. Suspension settings here are important for less so for the track, but more so for the dismount, I think is the best phrase.
Right. Yeah, especially chicane on the way down to Rivazza. what is it called? Variante Alta? Is that how you pronounce that?
It's as good as any, yes. But yeah, I think the lads are going to struggle there with the damping settings mainly. I mean, from what you've seen out on track, which you think is going to be the better car, all told across the day?
It's tough to say. We have two Panos and two Mercedes right in the front two rows there, but I'd say the Panos is still the car of choice in the dry conditions.
Do you know what? I was actually going to go the other way. I fancy the Panos. I do like the Panos quite a lot. I think it's one of my favourites. But yeah, I think it's likely to be the Mercedes. I think it's going to just edge it here today. So as we get the lights down and we are under starters orders and the go. So Little God getting a decent start, but it does look like Linga Bazinga's matched him all the way off the start as they come through the absolutely steam training. It looks like Blackfire's off in the background, and potentially that might have been Harry that's gone off there as Blackfire gets pushed out by Immortalis. They're coming through the first chicane section. As we come through that section though, it's Little God that comes out in front, Linga Bazinga just behind him, but he's right up his backside. Immortalis looks like he's getting chased and hounded down there by Blackfire just behind him. Snarling Bongo just behind that, so he's made a great move up there, and he looks like he's going to get the move done on Merlin there, where the Merlin's managed to stick it around the outside, though he's not. He's shoved him just ever so slightly wide there. So Snarling Bongo's going to take that. He's going to get the run through that corner, and it looks like Little God is still out there in first place, so he's managed to hold Linga Bazinga off. Now coming through the downhill section, like you said, it's going to be difficult through these downhill sections. Watching on the suspension, no spins so far, but Immortalis running wide there, so that is going to allow Blackfire to catch up just behind him. And Snarling Bongo, we can see there, he's managed to make the manoeuvre stick in front of Merlin. So we're just trying to run through down the order a little bit here. It was Harry actually, he wasn't involved in that spin. It looks like it was potentially Murphy that was involved in that spin there. So the silver livery of Murphy's car that was going round there from the first couple of incidents. Harry there managing to stick it in 7th place. Just behind him, Jelmer and the other green and gold livery, Destroyer, sticking it behind him. Jack managing to maintain 10th spot now as he runs wide himself there, picking up loads of dirt on the outside, just coming across the pit lane. As we're back on board with that train of Harry just behind him. So let's see what that did to Jack actually. It's slowed him down a little bit. It's allowed Dirt Diggler to catch up, and it was Booth Jumbo, I believe, that went round. Apologies. So getting confused there with the white livery of Blackfire and Booth Jumbo with that incident. Just coming through that chicane section. As we see a couple of cars going wide there, looks like Dirt Diggler and Destroyer's taking a couple of people out. It's going to be a severe incident there. I think there's a bit of foot-in syndrome there. I'm not sure about you, Toasty.
Yeah, that was Booth who collected him as he went across the track. Heavy damage.
Yeah, it looks like Dirt Diggler was involved in that fray essentially just before that. So whether that was attributing to that action, I'm not 100% sure, but certainly 2 or 3 cars involved there. There's going to upset some people's last race for sure. If it doesn't rain, it pours, I think, and without the rain here, it's going to be damage in these curves. So that's allowed Jack to climb up to 9th though. Just go back over to our leaders for a second. And 1.8 seconds now between Stee and Linga Bazinga. So Linga Bazinga, I think, potentially tried to get in front on the first corner, and after that, I think he's actually backed off. I think already in this race, he started to play the waiting game. We see Stee coming around the final corner there. Yeah, so Linga Bazinga is 2 seconds back now. He's going to have to be careful playing this game if he is backing off so far. Immortalis is catching up to the back end of him there, and Blackfire, who finished second in the qualifying session, he was initially second in the qualifying session for a long time until Little God put that blister in right at the end. So we know he's got some pace here. And Snarling Bongo just coming up behind him. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th, not without pace in this session, and are all capable of taking this away from any of the drivers that make a mistake in front of him here. And it looks like Snarling Bongo's just let Merlin come back through on the inside on the same corner that he took him through on the lap previous. It looks like Merlin's got him coming into the next one, but he doesn't want to give it up. Snelling Bongo coming into that corner, the trailing car, and he's having to stick as the trailing car, so maintain more pace there coming into it, but couldn't get his nose in front. And Merlin going just a touch wide there as Snelling Bongo comes up. He's going to have the run down coming into the chicane section now. And here they are into Variante Alta turn 15. I'm going to call it in future McTorsty, I believe. Through turn 16, 17.
Looked like Immortalis was all over the back of Lingo, putting on a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, I think he is. He's going to have to be careful. I mean, in dropping down a place or two, it's fine if you've got free track, that makes sense. But to get yourself involved in the battles is not necessarily what you want to do. All it takes is another driver to make a mistake, even if it's not you, and your race is ruined. That could potentially cost you the championship. Like I said, a 10 spot difference between the two drivers would actually see them switch in the championship here. So Immortalis trying to make a manoeuvre on the outside there, but Linga Vazinga having none of it. Blankfile now getting involved in the action. No, Blankfile's going to take a look up the inside of Immortalis, and he does make that stick.
That was very close to being a repeat accident of Bucamo and who the other driver was. But yeah, keeping his foot in over the grass there, that was risky.
Yeah, I think the chicanes here are going to be essentially an overtaking nightmare. If you've got the brake set up ever so slightly worse than another driver, you're going to boil the fronts up here a lot. I mean, there's so many elevation changes, there's so much demand required on the front brakes. As we saw, Immortalis, they're getting a little bit wide. Both Immortalis and Blankfire running wide there, but Immortalis coming back on the track a little bit sooner. I'm just wondering as well, we've just seen a couple of those pop up recently, but Blankfile and Jack Dementes getting track limits, and to be fair, we've had quite a few of the track limits pop up recently. Yep, so it's going to be interesting going back to these guys after the race, just to see what the split differences are, what the penalty differences are. And in fact, we'll just nip over to the sign boards now, just to get an initial look at what the fastest lap is. So fastest lap currently being set by, what do you know, Steer right at the front with 1:37.4. Said it before and I'll say it again, there's no traffic at the front. Currently it looks like only Jack getting the penalty out there, so 1 second penalty for Jack, and it looks like Jack's currently making a pit stop. So I wonder whether that 1 second penalty is actually related to damage that he's picked up once he's left the track. So Jack running in there what looks like a bit of an extended pit stop. Not a great race for Jack. Destroyer is back out on track though after his pit stop, so heavy damage there. He was involved in, like I said, a little bit of foot-in syndrome, I think, with that incident involving him. So might have to go to the stewards for a replay of that footage just to find out whether that could have been avoided anyway. And Jack just making his way out of the pits now. So not too long of a pit stop there for Jack, but certainly a pit stop he would have rather not made. And just coming through into turns 17 and 18, coming through into Ravats, this Immortalis in third place and Linga Bazinga just in front in second. So it looks like Linga's holding him off here, but from the way that he's driving this car, I think Immortalis is actually putting in considerably quicker laps. It's just that he's getting caught in the aero behind him, and then Linga Bazinga is legally defending, but defending his position. And that is essentially slowing Immortalis down, which we have just seen the 1:37.6 on the timing board, with a 1:37.7 from Linga Bazinga in front. So does go to say that Immortalis is really pressuring the back of Linga Bazinga here. And I think what we're going to see is potentially which driver's got more resolve. This is going to be a battle of attrition between these two. Can Linga Bazinga hold Immortalis back enough without making a mistake? Can Immortalis sit behind Linga Bazinga without wanting to push past him, even though he knows that he's quicker. It's going to be difficult, especially if Blank Fire keeps knocking on that door just behind him. So one thing we haven't spoke about so far, just whilst we're getting into this race, is what do we think in terms of setups, tyres? Normally it's one of the biggest things that we've got on the for our talking points on our agenda is what's the weather doing and what are they doing with tyres, and is there any aero at the front on the Toyota? But it's not really an issue here, that is it? So
it seems like I've heard from some of the drivers in practice that the hard tires were a bit too cold. Surprisingly, I was surprised to hear that with the weather warming up towards the middle of the year now, and yeah, it seems like they've all gone on the soft tires. On for that strategy.
Well, do you know, I think that potentially that's to do with the track's location. I mean, Bologna's it's not really in the south of Italy. It's quite far into the north of the country, and you know, Italy's not unknown for getting snow. You know, even late on in the year, so it still can be quite cold there from time to time, depending when you get it. So I think the guys are, if they are struggling for heat in the tyres, I think it's more than likely going to be the panels. It's going to struggle more than anything with heat in the front tyres. It's just whether the tyre degradation is going to kill it. I mean, if you're locking the panels up, then she eats front tyres, absolutely eats the front tyres like there's no tomorrow. Mercedes is a much better animal on the tyres. Manages that situation a lot better. It seems to fuel save quite a bit better with it as well. So if it does come down to the final throws, and it's more to do with you know, just trying to fuel save and trying to coax it home. I think the Mercedes is going to be the better car to be in. So I think what this goes to show is that I'm really rooting for the panels, but I really don't think it's going to win. It's not. It's not quite had the star-studded championship that lingers Mercedes has had. And even if he doesn't win in this race, I would have still said overall the better machine has got to have been that Mercedes for the course of this season. So whether we'll see that banned next season, whether we'll see the Mercedes taken away, and just the rest of the GT1s, I'm not sure. I think that's not completely decided, but I think we're certainly going to see the GT1s back next season. So I think that is confirmed. But yeah. We're still waiting for the official announcements at this stage. So, like I said, if you are watching this and it's the first time that you're catching us on Flux Motorsport TV, then just be aware that our championships are about to end. So if you do want to sign up and you do want to get involved, then now is probably not a bad time. Get yourself involved, get yourself your evaluation drives in and out of the way now. They're all about being clean, about racing clean, not about the speed. So you don't have to be the fastest person ever to come get yourself evaluated and join our championships. But speed's always nice, as these guys would, I'm sure, would agree. So, but yeah, if that does sound like you, head over to FluxMotorsport.com. That's FluxMotorsport.com, and hit the driver sign up button. Or you can check out our stuff on YouTube or any of our social media channels, which I'm not going to bore you with. If you do like our videos though, and you are watching us on YouTube now, always hit the like and subscribe button. That always does a big favour. And if you're really a nutter, hit the bell notification thing so your phone keeps going ding. So anyway, back to our action out on track here. We are down to just about the halfway mark, just over, and we've got Little God in first, which I think was a bit of a surprise for me. In currently getting himself out there in front of our championship leader Linga Bazinga, but Linga Bazinga doing a good job here of holding Immortalis off for the battle for second place. In third spot, just behind these, we've got Blank File, who's coming in about 11 seconds behind the leader, but 3 or 4 seconds behind the battle that's just going on in front. And behind that, unbeknownst to us, for the first 10 or 15 minutes of this race, we've caught 1 or 2 of the toe-to-toe action bits, especially where there was contact earlier. But yeah, Tonal and Bongo and Merlin really looking like they're the drivers that are potentially matched with a similar amount of ability and a similar amount of pace. Different driving styles, I would have said, but certainly drivers that look like they are around about the same skill level and really are putting some decent battles in this championship. I think both can make a mistake though. I'm not sure what your assessments of both these drivers are, but they both do look like they're sharing comment. They can maybe make a mistake, maybe come into a corner and lock up a little bit. I'd say if anything, Merlin possibly the smoother driver. Snell and Bongo the slightly more aggressive, but ultimately potentially might be a little bit more comfortable going toe to toe with another driver in a corner. Merlin potentially the better lapper, so I think that's maybe what my way up with these two will be. I don't know whether you agree.
Yeah, I would agree. They're two very different drivers, but ultimately end up being right about around each other on pace. You do see them battling quite a lot.
So we do have to ask the question with the Dutch guys here. Have they turned up after a few Stellar Artois or a few Fosters? What your favourite lager is? We know the Dutch guys do like a drink.
We do have our winter special event winner Pogo Mojo watching, cheering on Eve. Also, Angie is back cheering on blank file of her papers. And Redder's just doing some math for us that currently as it stands, Lingo would have 253 points with Little God at 247.
Well, that sounds like as good as abacus a calculation I've heard. I'd take those stats. So as it stands, those would be the scores. And like we said, I think that we'd see Lingo Bazinga safely win it as it is. There's going to have to be a real big upset, I think, for that not to happen. He's going to have to drop back way down the points. But it looks like we are just getting another battle bunching up here. So whether this is a result of Lingo Bazinga bunching everybody up, or whether this is just naturally the pipe bunching back up again, but it looks like we're getting all the way back down to what looks like 6th place here, bunching all the way up. So 3rd all the way down to 6th place. Stelling Bongro, you see, just coming around the corner, background in 5th place. He's got Merlin just behind him, and not too far behind that. A couple of seconds behind that is Gelman's. Gelman's just coming up to the back of these. Didn't quite see him coming up in that corner then. But yeah, coming into just under the half-hour mark, and these cars are starting to bunch back up again. So not only just a fight to the line for the championship, but maybe a fight to the line for this race yet. And we've not got to the pit stops yet. Pit stops, tyres. We all know that essentially the soft tyres are going to be the preferred option. That looks like a serious spin there. That was a real big. I'm not quite sure. I think it was not Destroyer. Was it Destroyer by any chance? It was indeed Survivor, mate. It was indeed Survivor. Looked like he was managing to stick it with the lads at the front there going through, but looks like he's just overdone it just a little bit there, and he's took a lot of damage at the front end of that Merc. That was a big hit. I'm surprised he's still able to get the thing around the track after that. So he's certainly going to be feeling that in his wrists in the morning. Back over to our battle for 3rd place. So Immortalis now making a challenge for Lingo Bazinga, tries to make a look down the inside. I think that's pressure from Blank File behind him. That I think you can see all the guys really trying to take advantage of the rubbers there into that final chicane. If anything, I'd say trying to take liberties there with the rubbers really. And Immortalis almost sideways into the penultimate corner there as he comes through. Is that Blank File taking a pit? I believe that was it. That was Blank File in the pits. It is. So Blank File coming in early. I think that means that potentially Little Goddard also might be coming in for a pit stop as well. I think that this might be a difference between softs and hards. I think we've gone for different strategies here. Blank File clearly going for what looks like to be a halfway point pit stop change. And he's in there for a while, so I think he is getting tyres. We'll go back over to Immortalis just to see if he's still got the pressure on Lingo Bazinga in front, which he does indeed. And this is some close racing. I mean, props to these guys, both these guys here. So this has been so far a good halfway through this race, and neither of the guys even so much as coming close to making contact with each other. After the you know, the frantic action that you get on off the first lap. But certainly they've been going half race distance here, toe to toe, near enough nose to tail all the way through. Some great racing here from these guys, from Linga Biziga and Immortalis. No doubt if Linga keeps driving like this, they'll get a video made about him. In fact, which brings me to Mick Toaster, our champion in the touring car on Tuesday night. I think he was under the impression that a championship win meant a video. Is that the case, or can we confirm or deny? Or
it depends. It depends on a couple stellar drives, or like I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see which driver gets picked here. The next one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, watch this space. Then you heard it here first. So we'll just try and give you a quick rundown of our order as soon as we get into around about halfway through the race so far. In first, obviously, we've got Little God, who's currently so far around about 12 seconds in front. Looks like he's just going round what could be either Jack or Green Gaming there, just lapping that car. In second place, we've got Linga Bizinga, still fighting off Immortalis for second place. Immortalis in third. Snelling Bongo looks like he's getting a bit of distance away from Merlin now, or Totenkopf, as you can see him on your screen. Snelling Bongo about 16 seconds behind the leader here, currently coming up in fourth spot, and looks like he's gaining ground away from Merlin. Potentially, I don't think he's really going to be catching up to Immortal. I think the battle between those guys has started to speed up between second and third now. You know, they've stopped bunching up. But Merlin in fifth spot, and Jelma, not too much you've seen of Jelma so far in this race, but Jelma and Harry sitting behind this group, almost locked in their own little session here. As you saw Harry going wide there, so that is going to be track limit breach there for Harry. There's going to have to be a let off into this final chicane section as he comes into it. And both cars going wide there, so Jelma taking a wide exit there. Harry not too bad on the exit there. Both these guys are going to get slowdowns for that. And it's hard on the brakes now into turn 18. And Rivazza can be quite a difficult corner actually. We've not really mentioned Rivazza yet. The amount of cars that we see going wide and doing that little over rotation thing there, and the panels being an absolute nightmare for it. Just wanting to get all the power down, get all that torque down. Your wheels aren't quite on the track yet. They feel like they are, but they're not quite on the track. That does not cause some problems as they come out of Rivazza there. But Jelma just coming through into what would be turns 2 and 3 now, or Tamburello I believe it's called, the Tamburello chicane section. We'll go down into field now before Tosa. Just behind those we've got Blankfile just coming through, so Blankfile just coming across pit straight now and just coming through into that Tamburello section as well. And behind him we've got Murphy that's just come into the pits. So Murphy coming pitting from what is 9th spot, and he's got a bit of a gap between himself and Dirt Diggler, but he's going to see him just come past there. Green Gaming's got another 10 seconds or so before he comes past, but I think Green Gaming's going to get the jump on Murphy as well here. I think that's the engine roll that we can hear as he comes past. It is indeed, so that's Green Gaming that's just going to take Murphy on the pit exit there. But Dirt Diggler in 9th place. We saw Dirt Diggler going round before. I'm not quite sure whether we've seen Dirt Diggler pit. Did you see that jump up on the register earlier? The Dirt Diggler actually took a pit stop there and got that damage repaired. I've seen him going round into turn 2.
I don't think he pit for damage, no.
Oh, Merlin is coming in now, so all the guys starting to come in now. We've seen probably half the field here at least take a pit stop. So far we have yet to see Little God take a pit and Linga Bizinga. Blankfile's managed to get himself back out on 8th spot, so we'll just go over to Blankfile in just a moment. In fact, Blankfile's going to come past Merlin here potentially, as Merlin's taking his pit stop. So we'll just go over to Blankfile. Yep, he's just on the last corner now, just coming out of Rivazza. And Merlin's not going to get out of the pits before Blankfile comes screaming past him. But I think he may well get out just before Dirty Diggler comes past. He is there, so just coming at the pits there. And Dirty Diggler just not quite at the reverse section yet. So it looks like Blank Files made it back out in 7th spot. And Merlin making it back out in 8th spot. So a little bit of a reshuffle though. We've still probably going to see 1 or 2 pit stops to come. Do you think anybody's going to go for the no stop? Do you think maybe Linger's on the hards? He's going to go for a no stop strategy?
I think Bulgad might be on the hards too. He doesn't seem to be slowing down. He just set a 136 actually. Link file almost into qualifying times with his low 136. So I think that might be soft tires and lighter on fuel.
Just go over to the time board now, just to give you visibility. Yep, 136.1s and 136.8s are our quickest laps there from Blackfile and from Little God. So yeah, Panos is definitely a strong vehicle here. And Sterling Bongo, I think he's just enough there into the that first chicane section. The amount of cars that picks up, the gravel track that picks up there is unbelievable. But it looks like he's come out back on grid with Jelma just behind him, and Jelma will have the benefit of speed coming into that section, so he's going to close up even further as they come into turn 7 into Tulsa corner, I believe it is. Yeah, I don't think he's quite got the pace to match Snelling Bongo. If Snelling's not picked up any damage there, you might see him pull away from Jelma just a little bit. But Jelma's certainly going to benefit from his draft here, and be able to then tuck in behind him, try and make as much benefit as he can. He's probably just out of that zone where you get too much of the air lifted out of the way to upset the aerodynamic flow of your own vehicle. Just enough to sit there in the toe, so you're getting a benefit from the car shifting some of the air out of the way. So Snelling Bongo, unfortunately, dropping back a little bit there, but I don't think that's going to affect him too much if he doesn't pit either. So if he's stuck on the hard tyres and he's not going to make a pit stop, then he might get away with that. And we see Jelma just coming up on the overtake indicator there, just showing up that he's a second and a half behind car Snelling Bongo, but doesn't look like he's in a position to make a jump on him there. So 18 minutes left to go in our session, as Snelling Bongo and Jelma, 2 Dutch guys, going in 7th and 4th and 5th spot. I'd be surprised how close these Dutch lads have been all season actually. Again, in terms of overall pace, I think potentially Snelling Bongo might be the quicker driver of the two. But again, consistency showing how important it is here in these races, and not spinning, not getting involved in an accident really makes a difference. So as you can see from the massive damage that Murphy's picked up there from getting turned around there into turn 1, so I think that'll be a steward's inquiries there. Murphy submits. Jack getting involved in a bit of action as well, picking up some damage with Dirty Diggler. So all the guys getting involved in some really heavy action there. Looking like they're all the way back down the field, so the pit stops really taking the toll. Looks like we have lost 1 or 2 drivers during the course of this race though, so it looks like Destroyer's potentially retired. So again, another car that was involved in a lot of damage there, potentially getting to a point where it can no longer continue in this race, instead of retired to pit box though. Looks like we've got a battle of the Toyotas that are just about to open up here. So the Toyotas, again, we said they were going to struggle around here today, but I didn't think we were going to struggle quite as badly as this. There is quite a long section on the back straight where they go over the start-finish line. The rest of the track definitely not. They're very windy. Does involve mounting and unmounting those curbs quite a lot, which is, as you can see with the Toyotas, there's not a lot of ground clearance at all. So that could be affecting the cars quite a bit, maybe just the design of the car, the chassis of the car. But look at the pace that thing's got. As soon as she does open the legs up, that's the amount of speed that she's got. It's just not quite got the ability to keep that traction without that aero passing over it. So It needs the high-speed aero to really get the most benefit out of that car. As you see, Green Gaming just going a little bit wide there. So back over to our battle for 4th spot. Looks like Jam was managing to stick with Snarling Bongo here, so whether Snarling Bongo has picked up a load of grit and a load of dirt and it's got shoved into the radiator of that vehicle and it's affecting the intake, or I'm not 100% sure, but Snarling Bongo looking like he's struggling to pull away from Jam there. We'll just go over to Blankfile, just because Blankfile's currently putting in possibly the fastest laps of the race, 136.5 on the last lap. The next quickest lap was the guy behind him, 136.9 for Merlin, but race leaders currently putting 137s, 138. So that pit stop that Blankfile had a little bit earlier on, really showing that it's coming to effect now, letting him get them tyres warmed up and really coming to their own now as he's a few laps in. 15 minutes only to go left in our session here. So with a 15-minute call, do you think he's going to finish it as it is, or do you think there's going to be a major upset between now and then, Toasty? What are your predictions for the last part of the race?
Well, we've seen Blankfile time and time again really turn up the pace towards the last half of races. He was 58 seconds behind the leader, I think, when he came out of his pit stop there. But I don't know if it's going to be enough for him to get into maybe even the top 5. As far as who's going to come home with the victory, let's say Lil God, he's been very consistent through a lot of these races in this series, so I wouldn't be surprised if he takes that one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a gamble that maybe he's taken. Maybe try and ditch in early, get the pits, put some softs on, and come back out and go for a complete tyre change. Bold strategy. I mean, it could have worked, but I think you're right in this instance. Maybe not quite the length in this race for that to have paid off. Not quite the gaps as well. Just maybe a little bit too close between all the cars. Had he got himself out in front, maybe that might have worked. For Steve, it might do. You might see Steve come in. Yeah, it's possible. And doubtful, but it's possible. But in terms of his point standings, I mean, Blankfile's currently 4th, and he's a good few points. He's a good 30 points away from Immortalis in front, and he's got Merlin just behind him. So, which currently, again, we've got Merlin just behind him in this race. So, I think in terms of where he's sat now, I think he's got a comfortable 4th place, regardless if he finishes a position or 2 higher or lower. So I think in terms of his championship, I think that's his championship sealed here. He's had a good run so far. I think that's 4th secured.
What Blankfile might have done unintentionally is take a point away from Little God with that fastest lap. We might see Little God still break that lap time, but it could still come down to a couple points, and that would be really interesting if that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think Linga Bazing is a smart enough driver, so he can play this one. So it's still his to control. It's still his to manipulate the situation, his to lose, if you will. But just by sitting there, coming 2nd or even 3rd, and maintaining that, just fighting the guy off behind as much as you can, cleanly and fairly, then I think he's a capable enough driver to have been able to make this stick and work throughout. So, I mean, hats off to that's how you win championships. Slow and steady wins the race, isn't it? You don't have to win every single one to make it count. What you've got to do is win enough and be there for the rest of them. So, I think with currently going into this to 222 points. A Little God was always asking to for an uphill climb, but yeah, certainly would like to see it come down to the wire. So as we see Blankfile coming up to the back of Harry, we've not really mentioned Harry too much. So Harry, a brand new driver out in the GT1s, not been with us all season, currently sticking in a solid 6th place. So I thought it was Harry that was involved in the incident in lap 1, and it wasn't actually. It was Murphy that went round. But Harry there just, you could see him just moving over, potentially trying to just show should Black file away through though, or certainly not get in his way. I don't think he took his foot out at any point, but it was certainly almost letting him through there, but he certainly wasn't on that corner. He was taking the most definite middle line, and that was potential blocking, especially if he comes back over. And that is Blank File that's going to be asking a couple of questions there about was that one move, was it two? Certainly pushing Harry though, tries to go around the outside, not going to make that work, so he drops him back behind him. Great battle here between these two. Blank File really pushing. I think potentially Blank File's got the speed here, and a little bit of a flash there, so clearly Blank File getting frustrated, trying to get past Harry. Harry making that car as big as he can, trying to take a middle line there, which he's fully entitled to do when he's in front. I mean, it's his spot position, and defending like that is absolutely fine, not a problem, but making two manoeuvres as you come into a section is a bit of a no-no. Always difficult to try and prove when that happens, and I think that was green gaming there. That was green gaming. I think he's just got out of the way for these two as they came through. But got out there by putting his nose into the wall, which isn't always advisable. We do advise that you try to stay at the wall if you can at Flux Motorsport. It does tend to be the fastest lap when you're not in the wall. Not always avoidable though, so Blank File trying to make it stick on the outside, and that's contact from Harry. We knew that was going to happen eventually, and Harry sees that as not his fault, and away he goes. So I think that's going to be one for the stewards. Like I said, I don't think it's going to make too much difference here in terms of race pace, race finish or championship finish. But if he sees Merlin go past him there, I think that's going to be a steward's inquiry that's Black File is hopping mad in. I think we might see a few choice words said during that inquiry. Yeah, certainly some aggressive defended driving there from Harry in his first race out, trying to show the lads that actually he's not going to just lie down and let some of the quick guys come through, and he is going to try and hold his own there. So whether that was too much, we'll have to let you know after we review the stewards' inquiries. So under 10 minutes left here. If you are just joining us, where have you been? This has been an absolute stormer of a race, an absolute stormer of a GT1 finale. And like I said, we are at Imola for our final race in the GT1 Championship of Flux Motorsport, and we've got Little God that has currently given us a masterclass of driving around this track. Hasn't really put a foot wrong here. Haven't really heard a whisper out of him. He's just gone about his job silently, clearly and professionally. And I think that's probably the best word for it today. He's given us a real professional show of what that panels can do. Just behind him, Linga Bazinga, probably been putting in one of the best defensive drives that I've seen at Flux Motorsport this season. Certainly fended off Immortalis for a good 15 to 20 minutes solid, which is difficult to do, but for anybody's standards. We always know it's much easier to follow a driver than it is to be the driver in front trying to hold him off. Just make sure that you're watching your mirrors and the road in front. Never an easy job. So a war on two fronts being fought very well there from Linga Bazinga. Immortalis having a great show, to be fair. Didn't get a bad start. Kind of got blocked really as far as what he felt he was possibly capable of. Certainly not actively blocked, but certainly impeded from his potential lap times as he runs a little wide there. Track directors can have a little bit of a whinge at that. She usually does. Difficult to please. Like all the best ladies. And just go back over to Black File and Harry, because they're starting to come back up together here. So Black File's closed that gap back up after the spin, so he's going to be desperate to try and get around Harry here. And not able to get it done coming into turn 17. Harry going a little bit wide there into turn 18, but not completely off track. And that's probably going to be enough for the panels to get into the draft. So I think maybe coming into turn 1, he's going to try and go for an inside line here. So he tries to look around the outside. Harry covers the inside, he won't let him go for it. Leaves room on the outside, and this time Black File gets it done. So same corner, could have gone wrong again, but this time Black File getting a little bit better off the Mercedes. And getting a bit squirrely though this time, so Harry trying to stick it back. Great battle here from these two for 6th spot. But it looks like, I think that was a tyre on the outside of the track there. Was that Dirk Diggler? It wasn't Dirk Diggler. That may well have been... I'm not quite sure that was coming through. That might have been Linga Bazinga just coming through in the background.
Was it Merlin? Looks like Merlin.
I know
was
it.
seventh there.
Potentially it could have been. I do apologise. It did look like a black car that was just behind him. But yeah, Harry back on track. Looks like he will have picked up a little bit of damage there as he bit the wall. Can't really see he's picked up too much damage. But as we know, even a small amount of aero damage can upset the GT1 cars. It does look like the car's tracking a bit strangely though, as it comes through into that chicane. I think that is that Jack that's just behind him. Jack, I think, isn't actually fighting Harry for position. I think that is a lap car potentially that he's coming back just behind Harry there. And if it's not Jack, apologies, it's Green Gaming, so it is the lap car of Green Gaming that was just catching up to the back end of Harry. But I think what we're going to see is Harry coming into the pits now, trying to get that damage repaired, which he doesn't, so he decides to stick it out. So 4 minutes left to go in this session. But Blankfile moving on up, and it looks like he is up past Merlin and into 6th spot. He's got a 20-second gap now, or thereabouts, between himself and Jalmer in front. So with 4 minutes left, I think that's too big of an ask. Even with the lap times being as they are, 1:37's being achieved by the rest of the grid as well now, not just Blankfile. So I think that potentially he's going to have to stick with 6th place now. But great little comeback there and a great little battle between Blankfile and Harry. And Dirk Diggler just coming around the last corner there. So Dirk Diggler again. Not seen too much of him in this race apart from the minor spin that we saw just coming through into Tamburello section, which I'm not quite sure whose fault that was. I'm convinced that there was something there that we didn't quite catch on camera. I would like to go to the slow-mo replay on that one and just see from the driver's point of view, from the rear camera, exactly what happened into that section. But it looked like potentially someone's gone a little bit wide, knocked somebody on the outside, they pinballed and then proceeded to go on the outside, spin and keep the foot in. I think that's what happened, but like I said, we'll have to go to the slow motion replay and get a look back at that one. So back over with it, guys, towards the front of our race. This is Snelling Bongo over in 4th spot, and Jelmy, you see just behind him there. I think that's Immortalis that's just in front of him. Potentially might be a lap car. And I think that might be Murphy that's just in front of him actually. So they'll be coming to overtake more traffic here. And Snelling Bongo's going to hope that this doesn't actually get in his way. I think that is Murphy just coming through that section. It is indeed. Murphy putting 1:37.80. Now he's back out on track and got that car singing. So decent lap times coming in from Murphy there, as quick as Immortalis on the last lap. So and just as we focus on him, curse of the commentator, Snelling Bongo comes up just behind him now. So I think Snelling Bongo is going to catch up to Murphy there. Murphy looked like he's getting quite frustrated in this race. The last 2 or 3 races Murphy's been involved in an incident, and not necessarily been his fault. Certainly been collected as part of collateral damage earlier on in this race. So 2 minutes left to go in our race. It looks like on lap 27, Little God is going to come through and probably take first place with where we're going. 1:40s now, so I think he's slowed right the way down. Could this be fuel saving? 1:40 is a very slow lap from Little God with 2 minutes left. I mean, lap times are not that short. This is going to have to be 2 laps that he maintains this pace for. And there's only 10 seconds between himself and Linga Bazinga, so I think this is major fuel saving mode. I think he's run out of fuel.
I really hope it's not, but it could also be yeah.
These fuel saving.
Yeah, you're right.
These most definitely fuel saving. So I don't know whether this is going to be a closer fight to the wire than we thought. I'm going to leave that off, but I know he's fuel saving. I can see it from the way the car's behaving. But the question isn't whether he's fuel saving, it's whether that fuel saving is going to screw him. And I think Linga Bazinga, he is just coming around that last corner now, so he's just coming out Rivazza. Steel will be just coming up towards the end of the braking zone now for turn 1. This is doable. I mean, he's going to have to really push it throughout the entirety of this race, and it's whether Steve's saved anything left in the tank. So Linga Bazinga now coming through really into what is turn 2, and Little God just coming into the next chicane there. So they are a section, a track apart, basically one segment of the track apart, one length between corner to corner. That is about the distance between them, as we see. We'll probably see Linga Bazinga just coming up to that last corner. He is indeed just coming up through the last corner. So this could go anybody's way. I think Little God's played it wisely, and he's possibly got just enough left in the tank here. And I'm going to have to bring the speeder up and just see whether he is actually fuel saving. I still think he's fuel saving. I don't think he's giving it everything he's got. I think he's just trying to push it just enough to make sure that he finishes, but not just enough that he allows that gap to close up. 5 seconds. Linga Bazinga looks like he's closed up over the course of that lap. So he was 10 seconds behind just coming into it, and he's about 6 seconds thereabouts, just wavering around that point. And I don't think that's going to be. I think even Linga Bazinga's let off now, so that gap now increasing. So Little God is going to come across the line, I think, for the race win. And a little flash of the lights there as he comes across the line. And a bit of a wiggle. And a bit of a wiggle as well. So, well done for Little God. I don't think that's done it for the championship. I think that's allowed Linga Bazinga, who comes across with a wiggle and a flick of the lights for himself. I think that's allowed Linga Bazinga to take what really he will feel like should have been his championship all the way through the season. But what a great fight between himself and Little God, as iMotorsports comes across the line there with a flash of the lights and takes the 1-2-3. But yeah, what a great fight though between Linga Bazinga and Little God for the championship, not just in this race but throughout the championship. Little God really put in a really strong effort there to put a challenge in what looked like a GT1 championship that could have been ruled supreme by certainly one Dutch guy, if not more, at the start of the season. So I think it's really made a big difference into what we can expect in terms of viewership, and certainly what these guys can expect from each other out on track. So I really enjoyed the element that Steve's brought to the league and mixed it up with these guys, and with the likes of iMotorsports and Starlin as well. I think that's made it a real exciting affair. So just to give a run down the order, like I said, iMotorsports in 3rd spot. Starlin Bongo looks like potentially he's got that 4th spot, and he's snatched it away from both Jelma and Merlin, so he'll be happy with that position for 4th spot there. Speaking of Jelma in 5th spot. Blank Fire, like we said, crawling all the way back up to 6th, so a bit of an early dart there into the pits. So we can come back out and grab 6 spots, so not a bad race all told. Jelma there, Totem Court for Merlin, as you know, coming up in 7th place. Harry in 8th spot, so not a bad show really at all for Harry, but potentially some dodgy manoeuvres there, just as he came through into the last couple of laps with Blank File. Dirk Diggler in 9th spot. Murphy coming up in 10th spot again, decent lap times from Murphy, so he's going to be frustrated. 1:38 from Jack as well, just behind him for 10th and 11th spot. So both those guys are going to be frustrated with that race. And Green Gaming comes up in 12th spot. So it looks like we did lose Destroyer, and it does look like we did lose Survivor as well. So those guys having to retire to the pits and not finishing this race out. So we'll keep you posted on what that means for the final standings and any appeals. But certainly some penalties that look like they've affected people, but not really affected the standings there. As you see, Jack Dementi's picking up a good 3 seconds, but I think the most penalties for the day goes to iMotorsports, still allowing him to get 3rd spot. But yeah, what a great finale to our championship. Have you enjoyed it, Matosti?
Yeah, it's been an exciting season, and we all like to see the points come down to single digits at the the end of the last race. So yeah, it's been great.
Well, like I said, if you guys at home are watching on YouTube do want to get involved, then the website is the usual FluxMotorsport.com. Come read our T's and C's, get involved, get your evaluation drive done, and get yourself involved and signed up to our championships. And this could be you next season in our GT1 championship. So don't hesitate. Head over there and get yourself booked in for an evaluation drive and get yourself racing in the off season to get some practicing. Well, certainly from me, it's been great to be out here and presenting for this season. It'd been even better to have you in the commentary box with us as well this season with Toaster. What a great addition. Onwards to better for next season, I think.
Yeah, already looking forward to it. It's gonna be exciting to see what tracks we're running, and yeah, what the next season looks like.
Well, do you know, I hear a rumour of Monaco, but that's all hearsay at this stage. There'll be more in the off season. We've got a special event to come yet, and can you imagine Monaco in these things? How horrendous. So, but yeah, certainly it's been great to bring it to you for this season, and an absolute cracking race tonight. So thanks very much from me. It's been lovely to have me. I've been lovely to have you, and I hope to see you, in our final races for the rest of the finales for this week. Like I said, we've got GTs, we've got LMP2s, we've got the Indy cars, GT3s, and the stock cars all to come. And I don't think a single one of those are completely tied up yet in terms of who's won the championship. So definitely watch this space. Like I said, if you like what we brought to you this evening, then please hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit that bell notification if you want to get notified about our next video. But from me and McTorsty tonight, it's been lovely. Thanks for having us, and we hope to see you a little bit later through the week for our rest of our finale races. But yeah, thanks very much from us tonight, and we'll see you next time.